Welcome, everyone, to the Wisdom with Wiebke podcast, where I interview different people about their definition and relationship with spirituality, to give you a glimpse of the unique ways of how to live and integrate spirituality in your life. Welcome, Grant. I am so grateful for today's episode with a close friend of mine, Grant Collins, and also known as the Braces Guy. And we met at a retreat from our homie Eckhart Tolle a while ago. And then we kept talking, and we had really insightful conversations, very deep about spirituality, which we both loved a lot. And now I'm very glad and happy to share those conversations with you and give you like a little taste. And I just invite you to be curious and stay open along the way. And please introduce yourself, Grant, and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are. And welcome
So
again.
thank you so much. My name's Grant Collins. So I'm an orthodontist of all things. So I work with teeth, and this is a completely new area for me. So I'm so excited to be on the show. And like you said, I'm the braces guy, so I do a lot of like things online with braces tips and things like that for people. And I've enjoyed getting to know you over the last few months, and I'm so honored to be here.
Well, glad to have you here. And I think we're just gonna kickstart it right away with my favorite question, which would be, what does spirituality mean to you?
Wait, this is about spirituality?
Exactly.
I thought you were gonna let me do it. Oh, man, I thought it was gonna be magic tricks the whole time. I didn't prepare. I'm just kidding. Spirituality, for me, it's been something that's been a part of my life, my whole life. And I just only recently in the last few years, I feel like it's been something that I've just become more conscious of. And I've always been, I feel like, curious on, on my journey of like knowing there's deeper than what meets the eye, and never really wanted to go with the grain and wanted to say there's got to be something deeper underneath. And I think in the last few years, it's really expanded my lens of what really the meaning of the world is, the meaning of life, my purpose here. And spirituality is like, to me, it's about awareness. It's about essentially transformation. And for me, it's a transformative experience where it's a remembering of who you are. At one point, I thought of transformation as this understanding who I really am, whereas like who I'm going to become. But the more I've been on this journey, it's more of learning. It's almost more of like unbecoming everything that really isn't you, is really how I feel about the transformation process. Spirituality is so expansive. It's so beautiful. It's connectedness to everything and everyone. It's drawing from source energy. It's drawing from God. It's drawing from the divine, and seeing how everything truly does belong when you open your heart to it. Aside from that, I mean, I'm sure ask me again that question in 5 years, it may sound different, which I'm excited about.
Thank you so much for sharing this, and also acknowledging that we do grow and we do develop, and that our answers might change. So whatever you say now might not be true to you or might change in the future. And
Yes.
I loved when you were saying that you kind of strip it away and like unbecoming of things, kind of
Yes.
some, I don't know who said it, but like this know that you don't know anything, or you know that you know nothing, kind of becoming that and understanding that there's so much more to
Yes.
develop too, but also to unbecome, and all the conditioning
Yes.
from society and all of that to. So yeah, I love that. I can really resonate with that. And
Thank you.
what I would be curious about is how you integrate that in your life. Like you realize it's more like a transformational process for you, and it's the journey you're on. So how does that show in your life right now?
I'm gonna have a little backstory with this because it's just the transformational process. It'll make more sense. So starting with birth, I'm just kidding, not birth. Starting with a few, yeah, oh yeah, we gotta wrap this up. So I would say, like, as someone who is very good, I feel like at getting things done and doing and getting, rolling my sleeves up and just making sure I do things. It's really been a process, the spiritualism that I've experienced, that's quite opposite to what I feel like I've done in the past. And it started a few years ago when like my spiritual journey when I learned about the Enneagram. And the Enneagram was basically a tool for me to understand the language of what my ego really was in that moment. And my ego, this developed persona that I thought of who I really was, I feel like it's this protective mechanism for me to understand how to belong in the world. And once I fully understood my ego, the universe and God was like, all right, now that you understand it, I'm going to dissolve it. And it was so beautiful, beautifully orchestrated. I understand so clearly why it had to happen that way, because I had the language and the tools to understand what was going on as it was happening. And the hits that I used to get from the ego to feed the ego to get excited about things started to become less and less. And it no longer satisfied me at the soul level. And my soul knew that. And my soul was kind of guiding me through this process. And there was so much letting go and surrender that needed to happen to get through that, to say, I remember saying that. I remember at times just praying and just on my knees, be like, I surrender. As I come into the present, it's quite different in contrast to my past, where if I wanted to do something, I just go do it. Now, if I take a beat and say, I'm going to be present as is and learn to live in the now, learn to live in the moment, learn to live with the flow that life offers you and not fight it so much, not have to change it so much. Because as I start to flow with my soul, with life, it carries me to places that my soul wants to go, versus before, it didn't matter whether my soul wanted to go there or not. This is what I had been taught was where I wanted to go. So I could go there, even if it was probably not in alignment with my true self. So now that I'm understanding and allowing and letting things come, I feel like it's easier for me to be still and allow and flow. And then once I understand and my soul kind of guides me, I can take conscious action to do the things that I need to do in life, or the things that my soul is craving for me to do. And like you always say to me, and everything is practice. Everything I learn from everything. It's all just there to help you evolve. And it's all there for your greatest good and the greatest good of all. And I'm learning that. Some days harder than others. Some days are easy, but it all is necessary. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I
Thank you.
feel it's so strong in you already, representative. And so to get there to that point must have been a huge journey, as such, where you learn a lot and you're still learning, and we all keep learning and practicing, of course. And I
Yes.
think that resonates probably not just with me, but with a lot of people, that you can do so much if you just push harder, if you just work more hours, if you do this or do that. You have something in your head, you can create it. Everyone kind of, I mean, yeah, there are limitations, but if you really want
Mm-hmm.
something, you can make it and do it. And
Yes.
then having the ability and also having the awareness in yourself already to distinguish, oh, this is actually maybe what my ego wants, and that's something
Yes.
that comes from my soul. How would you describe that? Like, how do you know when it's from your ego, when it's from the soul, as
Mm.
like, where would you go next, for example?
Yeah. So at first it was from trial and error. So as I started to learn more about the process of conscious manifestation, which I think is interchangeable with prayer and meditation, and there's so many things. We all use different language to describe probably a similar experience. But I was so like proud of myself because I feel like, wow, I can manifest. And really what it is I could, if you believe something, it will show up in your life. And I remember one week I was like, I literally wrote down the words. I'm like, I am the most well-respected, like you're gonna laugh at this, well-respected, famous orthodontist in the whole world, and blah blah blah, and just playing around with it. And I got a call that week to be on national television, live national television, and I'm like, whoa, stuff works. So I'm like, oh, feeling good about myself. And I went on television, I did that stuff, and then afterwards I realized I'm like, huh, like yeah, that was nice, but it was okay. It didn't fill me up. It came and went. It didn't fill me up to the degree that was in pure alignment with my most authentic soul self. So I realized, I learned in that moment, yeah, we can manifest things, but paying attention, what does your soul crave? Not just your little hit, not just your ego. And now I've become more conscious of it. It's like, what really fills me up? So as I have experiences in life, I pay attention afterwards. How do I feel? Does this make me a more whole version of myself, where I feel so in alignment with and connected to everyone and everything? So I think there's a process early on where it was trial and error, where it's like, okay, yeah, this paying attention to the after effects of how it makes me feel. But then now more of an exercise in having patience and faith and saying the universe, God is going to unfold and orchestrate what's for my highest good, even if it's not right now. So I don't have to do much right now. I just have to get in alignment and meditate and really be still to listen and listen and listen and listen. And when I think I haven't listened enough, listen more. So that's a new practice for me, and which is not easy. I never did that as a kid, so it's but I'm enjoying it so far.
I don't think it's easy for anyone. Just
Yeah,
just being patient. There are rare people, I think, who say, I love being patient.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
being able to do that right now sounds amazing, and sounds also that you gained a lot of awareness about your energy, noticing
Hmm.
when something's good to you, when it might just was like a little hit, a dopamine hit or so, and not
Yes,
serving the purpose you might go for. You
exactly.
mentioned purpose now several times, so can you share, or like, are you willing to share what is your purpose?
I think that's a discovery I'm continuing to peel back. If I go back to like a very hard objective definition of like even my office. So from my office, we have our mission, which is about serving others, and then it serves a greater purpose, which is about providing, a place of rejuvenation and happiness for ourselves, our team members, and community. I love the words of rejuvenation and happiness, but I also, I almost would love to add the word wholeness into it as well, just that loving acceptance of all as is. But I do, I think I'm on a journey to discover that greater purpose if it's even more expansive than that. It could be simple things, it could be very, very simple, but I think for me, it's like the whole journey is the purpose. The whole journey of discovering self and others and connectedness almost is part of the purpose. You're here to connect with God and source, and you look at the teachings of Jesus and what he said, of all the commandments and all the prophets and everything else, the biggest commandments of all is love yourselves, love God, and love each other. And I think to me, that's the greater all encompassing purpose of pretty much everything that's here. I'm learning what the expansive definition of love can be. That's so much more expansive than we were taught as kids of what romantic love needs to look like. But it's so much more inclusive than that. It's so much more connected than that. It's amazing. You can get it from so many different places, and you can live and breathe it. And it can be as simple as walking through nature and feeling the energy of what's around you is one of the most loving experiences I've ever had and still continue to have. Like I can go and look at a mountain and be like, wow, so profound. I feel God's energy. But I can also be looking at something as simple as a little blade of grass with a raindrop on it and be like, have this beautiful appreciation of that tiny little thing has so much of a profound amount of just meaning and depth to it. It's like if you can see it in anything, it's if you're open to the miracles of the universe, they're always there, but you have to be open to it. That requires presence. It requires openness. It requires gratitude. It requires so many things that are really an active practice. And yeah, anyway, don't know how I got here. Forgot the original question, but here we are. So yeah.
No, that was perfectly done. Thanks so much. And I
Yeah.
like what I've heard there, what you said is for the wholeness, the acceptance in it. And then if with acceptance also comes more love and more expansiveness, but also accepting maybe the unknown more. So the purpose, what you are on, not just rejuvenation and like for your clinic as such, seems to be already very huge, like all encompassing right now. Yeah, what I like is you're saying if you just look at it or if you just see it, like I feel like your eyes are already open for it. And some people's eyes might still be closed, which is fine. They might get there, they might not get there, but finding joy and gratitude and love in like the small things or the big things, depending on the mountain or like the leaf, gives you so much more probably than the television interview you had, as in not what you get out of it, but more like a long-term effect because it's every time, everywhere around you at all times. And it's never gone in a way. It's never, oh, there was this moment, this situation, and now it's gone. it's more like wherever I look and wherever I am and with
Yes.
whomever I am, I can feel it, I can
Yes.
see it, I can tap into it if I like. So yeah, that was
I
great.
love
I
that.
agree with you.
Thank you. I love that. Well, you've taught me a lot of that too over our conversations we've had over the last few months. You said something that I literally is like a tagline of mine now, and it's something I try to live by every day: is find the love in everyone you meet. And I think you can even expand that: find the love in everyone and everything you meet, everything you expand you see. It's so cool. I think, like you said, that openness that you experience in the now, there's a miracle waiting for you around every corner. And I think also having that openness, if you understand conscious manifestation and you get really excited about it, like giving the universe openness to deliver in ways that you may not expect, I think has been something that I'm learning. I told you about this before, but one time I was like, I'd really love to see a rainbow today. I wrote that down. My daughter loves rainbows. It's like, it's fun to see that. And so I remember it was raining, it was sunny, and I looked out the window. I'm like, oh, no rainbow. And I turned around and there was the most vibrant rainbow reflection that had been like just from the light hitting the window a certain way. And it was on the wall. And I thought in that moment, I'm like, whoa, it looks like a painting. Someone took like a brush strokes on the wall. And it was so vibrant. And I really thought, universe, I'm like, God, you are so funny, because I expected it to come to me a certain way, and you gave it to me a unique way that I wasn't expecting, that allowed me to appreciate this in such a different moment. It was like a moment of like, whoa. And I want to carry that openness with everything in life. It's like, it's so funny. We can write down whatever, but I feel like the universe and God knows your deepest desires. You just have to be open to allowing things to unfold even more magically than you can possibly fathom in our minds. And when you do that, I feel like that's when special stuff happens. It's so cool. It's this balance of letting go and being desire. It's just all of it. It's just like a dance.
Do you know much about
Yeah.
dancing?
Oh, yeah. I'm really the best dancer I know. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. Do you want me to show you real quick?
I'm
Just kidding.
okay.
Nah.
I love how you said that it delivers sometimes differently than you might have expected it, or you might have wanted it. I feel every time I wanted stuff, it didn't happen, or it did happen differently than I thought I wanted it. And then oftentimes, yeah, it's with humor. Like universe oftentimes delivers with humor, and you're kind of like, cheeky you know. But it's so much better with like more colorful, in a sense that I might have drawn a flower and like it's blue and red or whatever, and then the universe delivers like the whole bunch of flowers, which are all have different colors. It's kind of even a little bit better than I could even have thought it through, which makes
Yeah.
sense because we're only so intelligent as we are, and then there's this higher intelligence around us. Things like, well, I can do it much better than you think,
Yeah.
and then it delivers, right? So having non-attachment to the outcome, as you
Yes.
had, kind of like, okay, because sometimes we write it down, maybe if we want to manifest something and we really want it, like the rainbow, and then the rainbow doesn't appear and we're like, okay, no rainbow. And then we go and we don't even look for it anymore because there's no trust, there's no faith that it might still happen. But you were like, you turned around and you still looked for it and you saw the rainbow still appear and you acknowledged it as something that you manifested in a way together with the universe. Because like that's an ability as well, to not like
Absolutely.
do this and like
Yes.
shut your eyes and be like, no,
Yes.
I only want it this way, and if it doesn't appear this way, it didn't work.
Yes.
Yeah, have the ability to see it openly and have that non-attachment, in the sense that if it comes in another way, I still welcome it
Yes.
and accept it as it is.
And I found that when you get closed off, if something doesn't happen how you want it to, you can start to get a lot of negative self-talk very quickly, or frustrated. And that negative energy, it can spiral quickly if you're not careful. So I think giving yourself that ability to love and appreciate everything and everyone in front of you, and that gratitude goes so far. It's so simple. It's like there was a point in my life where I haven't imagined. I walk now. When I walk, go on a walk, the first thing I think of is like, I'm so blessed I have legs to do this. I don't need my legs taken away from me or an injury for me to acknowledge that now. I think there was a time in my life where I would appreciate it if it were taken away from me, but now I'm trying to be very conscious of like, I'm so thankful that I can taste food. Thankful that I have eyes to see this beautiful, sunset in front of me. And I want to make sure that I'm just being grateful for the things I have without the universe in any way less than a tied to it in some way. So I think gratitude really sends this energy that is magnetic. It can be shared with others. It spreads love and joy, and that's something that you, as a quality I see in you, that you've shared that gift with me, and it's expanded my ability to do that even from across the world. I think we both appreciated that about each other. It's so cool. I mean, life is so cool. We speak very similarly. We have a very similar language, but even it's become more expansive where I can look at people that are very different than me and find the connectedness with both of us and know that, hey, it all belongs. Even if we have opposite interests in everything, we might speak completely different languages, but we're still connected and we still have different experiences, but we're still belonging. So it's kind of cool to me.
I'm so glad that you shared this, and also like shared for, well, at first the gratitude, because I can
Mm-hmm.
really relate to it. When I run, I'm always super grateful that I have my legs, and like you don't need something to be taken away for it to appreciate it. And once you've got that,
Exactly.
you can just appreciate everything around you. And
Yes. Yes.
it's funny sometimes because if I share it with other friends of mine, they'll be like, yeah, okay, you got legs, you know. Um,
Yes. Yep.
so I'm so glad to have people in my life where I can share this with, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, I'm the same. I'm grateful for it too. But then also expanding it to whatever comes to your life, like a stranger on a plane flight, for example.
Yes.
You don't know him, or like you don't know her, who knows? But you can still find similarities or something common, or when the food's coming, there's always this little like, oh, you have to help them, or kind of, I don't know, and then you can
Yes.
smile at each other. You don't have to be in your little bubble. You can be open, you can be present with them, and
Yes.
I'm grateful for that when others do that with me as well. Like,
Yes.
I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm the only one doing this. It's more, I feel like the more you are like that, the more you can recognize it in others as well. So the more love I share,
100%.
the more love comes back,
Yes.
which I think is fantastic. So, have you encountered any of those? Because you were saying, "Oh, I'm looking for it more in strangers now." Is there something in particular you were thinking about when you were sharing this, or any stories or something that comes up?
I can kind of put it into a broad stroke concept here that I think about 6 months ago, I realized when I was reading the book called Awareness and by Anthony DeMello. And there's a moment in the book I realized I'm like, we're all experiencing every person here on this earth is experiencing the same God source, divine. We all might use different words for it, but to me they're interchangeable. We're describing the same thing. We're all experiencing it, but it's kind of like eating a cookie. And if you and I are eating the same cookie, or we're all eating the same exact cookie, and we taste it, and I describe it. Let's say I describe it like, to me, this tastes like, a cozy night in at home with my family, or with, my mom made cookies or something like that. It feels like a cozy night. Um, cuddle up on the couch, with my candle, whatever. And you might have the cookie and say, this tastes like an exciting night out at the fair, an exciting night out in the carnival. And it's electric and gives me energy and it's vibrant. And we're eating the same cookie, but our descriptions are different. And what's interesting about that is I think that's not all that different than how we experience God and source energy and the universe. Is we're all experiencing the same cookie, but our descriptions of it are different. And what happens is I don't want to call it lower level religion, but maybe early stage religion, we get caught up in describing over whose description is more accurate of the experience, when really our experiences are all valid. They're all different, but you have this ability to say, well, this is how I've experienced this incredible thing that you can never fully define. It just is. The cookie is. God is. Period. And you could put whatever words you have. And how many wars and how many arguments have become from arguments over the description, Catholics versus Protestants? Well, this is what it means, and this is what it means. But I think the very healthy levels of spiritualism is inclusivity. And so I think I've expanded, or at least I'm attempting to, whoever's in front of me, how they describe their life, how they describe their perception of experiences with God in life and the world. I have an open mind to say that's valid. It's always valid. So I want to expand my lens by learning theirs. And rather than trying to sit here and explain why my lens is more right than theirs, probably with like 2 years ago, I thought, wow, I'm becoming the spirit. I know the spiritual stuff. Why wouldn't I teach other people about it? But the more I've been on this journey, the more I realize it's also so much about listening to the experiences of others and learning from their perspective, because I'm not the gatekeeper of the rightness of spiritualism. Otherwise, I'm just forming another version of an ego, a spiritual ego. So right now, I feel like I'm pushing myself to say maybe it is a stranger on a plane, or maybe it is a friend that I just can't relate to on so many levels of interest, but I can somehow connect at the heart level and say, I want to learn your lens. I want to understand your lens. Help me. And that has expanded my ability, I feel like, to appreciate and love people in the world and have it not affect me too. So it's like, just because someone's different than me doesn't mean I have to morph into them. I can love and be exactly who I am and let them be exactly who they are. And then that's love too. And when you have that, that gives people that permission to be their most authentic versions of themselves, which truly resonates at a very high vibration, very high level. It's beautiful. Don't know if I answered your question, but I went off. I went off about
I
cookies
love the
because
cookie
I love cookies.
analogy. I loved
Yeah,
it.
I
I'm
love
going to
cookies.
use that as well for my friends. And then also what came to mind was like you were saying inclusivity. And then what also came to mind was the labels we put on certain things, right?
Yes,
So why
yes,
not just include everyone and have the
yeah,
cookie together and whatever they want to talk about it, that's on them.
yes,
We don't have to label it. We don't need to call it this is that spirituality or that's that religion or whatever, right?
exactly,
Just
exactly.
let's enjoy the cookie together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be so serious labeled in a way.
Say, how cool would it be if you were in that circle of friends and you're all eating the cookies and you're eating the cookie and you're like, whoa, this is what it tastes like. And we're all around here being like, that is so cool. Here's what it tastes
Right.
like to me. And we appreciate those different experiences. I even think you look at the teachings of Jesus, I think it was a radical inclusivity. You look at where he was and what he did. I really do think and you look at Buddha, you look at a lot of these teachings all over. It's like, I think they would be sitting in a circle doing just that with the cookie. He's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So anyway, okay, I had to interject.
No, yeah, that was perfect because that's the like just experiencing another human being without judgment and
Yes,
all
yes,
of their views. If they eat the cookie or if they just go running or whatever they do, right? I oftentimes feel like I have so many different kind of friends because
mhm,
for me it's I love them as they are. They don't have to be a certain
yeah,
way or they don't have to conform certain opinions of mine or certain ways. Of course, you kind of look for someone who's like-minded and where you can spend time with things you enjoy as well. But overall, they're all very different. So if I would put them in a room, it would be quite interesting to see how they all get along, right?
absolutely, yeah,
But it's a gift you can give to others, I guess, if you can just be more relaxed with them having the cookie experience and you're curious about it and you welcome it as well. So I love that. I'm going to use this analogy.
good,
Thanks so much.
yeah.
And yeah, so I think, yes, we wandered off a bit because I am super interested in how do you keep this all as in a state of mind or a state of being when you're in your office? Is there a way?
I think for me, I don't always get it right, but the days where I feel the most centered and most at peace when there's a lot coming at me. I've got, 20 some employees, all with different personalities. I've got lots of patients coming in and out, running a business and trying to manage not only mine, but being there with everyone and lead everyone, can be a lot of stimulation. So I think it's actually helped me and help me to really, 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 really work on and make sure that I'm present with who I'm with and that I can emotionally regulate so that I can make clear, conscious, great decisions that are in alignment with who I am. And as a chronic people pleasing achiever from a young age, it fights that ego. It fights that natural tendency to want to do that when there's so much stimulation coming from the outside and seeking validation from others. So I think it's a conscious effort every day and making sure it's like, if I am not using my time outside of clinic to keep myself sharp spiritually, then I'll feel the effects. And so it's like exercise. It's like if I don't take the time to meditate and show gratitude, and for me, meditation often happens when I'm on walks and things like that, to recenter myself and get myself back in alignment, then sometimes it does show up. So I think sometimes what I'm doing outside of clinic makes just as much of a difference when I set foot in that place the next day, and choosing to feed myself things that will help, that are in alignment with my soul, and surround myself with people and things that continue to help me unbecome or become my most authentic version of me. Then I carry that energy back into my clinic, and when I'm in alignment and when I'm authentic and when I'm unbothered and I'm emotionally regulated, that energy gets expanded out to others and they drop into it as well. And now I'm leading consciously from a place of authenticity, which gets to be experienced and expanded throughout the whole clinic. And now we're operating like a single unit, and it's beautiful. There are days where I'm not in alignment, but as you've taught me as well, and I've learned from my own experiences, sometimes you just let that be that way as well. There's days where you're like, wow, I just, you pull yourself out, you watch your own self, you see your own thoughts. What's interesting, and I've learned, is it's that art of not suppressing it, changing it, just letting it be, acknowledging it, and then it drops away a lot quicker. But that's an art. It's something I never really learned or was taught. So I'm learning it at the age of 40, and I'm blessed. I'm grateful. It's so every opportunity is learning. Every single thing I go through is another chance for me to learn myself better and get more in alignment with who I really am.
And well done. I mean, it's never too late to learn, right? And it's all practice.
Never.
It's always a practice
Exactly.
day. If it's a day we might not have welcomed that way at the beginning of the day, the end of it. And yeah, I mean, your employees, or like the whole clinic, can be so glad that they have someone who works on themselves so much, is able to regulate at times, and will continue being even better with it. Because yeah, as you said, if you're regulated, other people around you can drop into that as well and will feel more regulated as well. And you're able to have do better in work, but also have better decisions. And overall, probably you're more stable and grounded as well. So as I can tell you are, but then also having that in an office where it's quite fast paced, I'd say, is amazing.
Yes.
And that you take so good care of yourself outside of it as well. It's kind of going to the gym, right? You train the whole time for then the
Yes.
day when you perform. And so you train outside of your office, literally as well, but
Yeah,
then in
absolutely.
nature. So amazing. Thanks so much for sharing this. Probably that will help others as well who have a more fast-paced office job, that you can, like, there's the perfect example. You can still be in stillness, you can still have a regulated nervous system. And yeah, is there anything you'd like to just talk about more?
You have such wisdom, such insights, and just an incredible soul. And so I really appreciate you doing this and having me on and teaching me so much and giving me a safe space to really drop into becoming, this version of myself. And you do that for not just me, but so many people. So I appreciate you in this podcast. I'm excited to hear if I make the cut and see if it goes up. But this has been really fun. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for saying yes to it when I ask you. And I can just give that back, because like in coaching, for example, we say it's never just the client who kind of has the realizations or so. If you're in it with them and you're in this energetic bond while you coach
Mm-hmm.
them, you always take something away as well. So, and I feel the same with my friends. When they have realizations, I always take something away with it as well. So our conversations, for example, I learned so much. as I'm not perfect either. I can do so much more practice and learning. So I'm super grateful for that as well. Thanks for the thumbs up.
That's so cool. I didn't even do
Um,
anything. It just thumbs you up.
so thanks so much for that. Thank you for taking your time and energy for doing this. And I can't wait. Let's see if you make the cut.
Yeah, we'll
Can't
see.
wait for all the comments from, yeah, go for it. I see you
Yeah,
want to say something.
I do. What you just said reminded me of something I actually learned from you that was so cool. So bring this up. Props to you for teaching this to me. But just, I remember several years ago, I learned on my own that I could tell that everyone was mirroring you in different ways. Like not just everything around you, but people. And there are some people that mirror the parts of you, like the good parts of you that you love. You're like, wow, I love this person, but really they're mirroring that back to you and who you are. And then there are some people that really you kind of look at this and you're like, man, this person, I really feel bad about myself around this person. But a lot of times they're mirroring the parts of you I wouldn't even call the bad parts of you, but the parts that need more love. And then there are some people who mirror all of that, that are very energetic, complementary mirrors of who you are. I remember you saying one time, I'm like, I admire these things about you. Like, hey, I got you this radiant energy and it's so cool. And you said something that was really profound. You said, if you recognize something in someone else, the only way you can do that is if it's something inside of you as well already. And so if I recognize something in someone, I'm paying attention to like, wow, that person is just so kind. And so like, I really admire that about them. The only way I could fully recognize it is if it's something that I feel is truly inside of me as well. And because it's just that mirror quality. And now that I've changed that, I've kind of changed my lens of what that looks like. And again, if I'm like, wow, I really love this about them, I try to love that about myself as well. Or if there's something that they're showing me, I'm like, it's a gift. It's a gift. In this moment, I'm triggered, but it's a gift to show me a part that needs more love, that needs some attention, that needs to be accepted. And so you taught me that, and I really appreciate that. I don't know how I just thought of that in your closing remarks here. I was like that reflective energy that we all give to one another, and we learn and grow from one another. But a lot of times it's almost like you're remembering something within yourself that someone else is showing you.
Thanks so much for sharing what you've learned or what you've kind of remembered again as well. And I'm just super grateful that we have that connection where we can bounce off ideas, where we can bounce off our spiritual talks and kind of wisdom of each other, because I've learned so much of you as well. And thank you so much for this. That was a blast. I really enjoyed
Likewise.
it. And
Likewise.
see you soon and be well. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. If you know a friend or someone who might benefit from this as well, please do share it. And always feel free to rate my podcast with a 5-star review. Stay awesome and be well. Thank you.